What is going on, everybody? DeathSpread here. Welcome back to another video. So let me get this out of the way first things first. If you are looking for a video that summarizes about this matchmaking blog intel, this is not the video for you. This video is intended specifically for people who want to hear the whole thing, who want to read the full article, but are looking more for an audiobook style video that actually reads from beginning to end with no mince words, no summarizations, literally every single word that they say here. And then at the end of the video, we will look at everything and what they really meant by some of this stuff. Also, if you are looking for my usual content, I know I've been absent a little bit. I'm going to get into that at the end of the video. And also, where I stand personally in Call of Duty will be saved also for the end of the video. So this video is basically going to be in three parts. This intro, the blog itself, where I'm going to do my best to not summarize anything, and then the ending where I talk about my relationship with Call of Duty, what I think of everything that's being said, and blah, blah, blah. If you're watching my crypto podcast, it's going to be a la to that. It's going to be in that style of reading an article, which we have done plenty of times on that podcast. So, all that said, let's jump right into this. Call of Duty matchmaking intel. Call of Duty update, an inside look at matchmaking, starting a conversation about matchmaking in Call of Duty. This is on January 29th in 2024 by the Call of Duty staff under News. With the launch of Modern Warfare 3 Season 1 late last year, we committed to a conversation with our community about matchmaking. Today's intel is intended to kick off that dialogue and is a new beginning for what we hope will be an ongoing conversation about matchmaking, sharing our process and learnings with you to answer questions and concerns we've seen within this community. The community. This blog focuses on how matchmaking works across multiplayer only. We will be continuing the conversation about matchmaking in other modes such as Call of Duty Warzone and Ranked Play at a later date. For players that have heard the term but aren't familiar with what we're referring to, matchmaking is a multi-factor process to place players on teams with and against each other to compete in online games. The single biggest priority with respect to multiplayer matchmaking is delivering a fun experience to our players. While we have many years of testing and learning as part of our matchmaking process, we are continuously working to deliver the best experiences possible. For that reason, we continue to test and look forward to more enhancements to come. We often see that the community refer to our matchmaking system as skill-based matchmaking. Call of Duty does consider skill, or more specifically player performance, as a component, as do most in the industry, but skill is not the dominant variable. We consider and prioritize several factors to create lobbies. I'm just going to take a second for my own words here, point out they do in fact say the exact words, skill-based matchmaking. So they have on record, officially acknowledge the term skill-based matchmaking. I want to make that clear. Back to the article. Matchmaking overview. Call of Duty multiplayer matchmaking is composed of many factors. Here is a diagram. I'll leave that on screen for a second for you to look at. We have at the top of the diagram connection. To the right, time to match. Bottom of that, skill and performance with a slash. Below that is platform. At the bottom is voice chat. A little bit above that to the other side of the circle is input device. Middle to the left of the circle is recent map/modes. Above that is player diversity, and then we loop back to connection. All that leads to the lobby. That is Call of Duty matchmaking process for multiplayer matchmaking process. So again, matchmaking overview. Call of Duty multiplayer matchmaking is composed of many factors. 1. Connection. As the community will attest, ping is king. Connection is the most critical and heavily weighted factor in the matchmaking process. 2. Time to match. This factor is the second most critical to the matchmaking process. We all want to spend time playing the game, rather than waiting for matches to start. 3. The following factors are also critical to the matchmaking process. This includes player diversity, the number of playlists available for players to choose from. Recent maps and modes. Considering maps you have recently played on as well as your mode performances, edible and quick play settings. Skill and performance. This is used to give our players, a global community with a wide range of skill, the opportunity to have an impact on every match. Input device. Controller or keyboard and mouse. Platform. The device, PC or console, that you are playing on. And voice chat. Enabled or disabled. Every time a player begins matchmaking in multiplayer, for example, the process needs to work through all these factors to find other players. Quote, or bracket, I should say, parenthesis, all of which are also being analyzed. End parenthesis, to quickly assemble a lobby that is stable and competitive. These factors have resulted in a process that we believe provides the best player experience and creates a stronger community for Call of Duty worldwide. Let's get more technical on a few of these factors. Measuring connection for matchmaking is the tagline. Whether you're playing for fun with friends or looking to climb the leaderboards, connection is the most important part of the online Call of Duty experience. Connection dictates the speed at which the game can transfer information from every player to and from our servers. Call of Duty's matchmaking process evaluates a metric we call delta ping, which is the difference in round-trip time of the data between your best data center, parenthesis, almost always the one closest to you, end parenthesis, and the data center onto which your lobby has been placed, parenthesis, based on all players in the lobby, end parenthesis. To reiterate, we always try to maximize the times we place players in data centers that are closest to them. Call of Duty uses a client-server model to host matches, where the time it takes to share information between the player, parenthesis, client, end parenthesis, and the data center, parenthesis, dedicated server, end parenthesis, has an impact on the overall feel of a match. The Call of Duty netcode, which we've discussed in the past, link to that is within the text as an embedded link in the words discussed in the past, which we will not be looking at right now, which we've discussed in the past, works to reduce the effect of latency, but cannot completely eliminate it. The matchmaking process seeks to reduce the overall amount of latency by prioritizing stable connections or low ping, with a shortened wait time in mind. Tagline is measuring time to match for matchmaking. Any form of matchmaking takes time. If the wait time in a lobby is excessively long, players typically recycle the process by canceling out a matchmaking search and restarting it, or even quitting. This does not quicken the matchmaking process and in fact can even be detrimental. For example, in the popular Modern Warfare 3, quote, Rustment, end quote, playlist, parenthesis, consisting of rust and shipment in rotation, end parenthesis, players often leave lobbies and or matches early on, hoping to re-queue into shipment instead. This creates a vacant spot on a team during an early stage of the match. As a matchmaking process may prioritize backfilling that spot, this could result in players perceiving that rust is disproportionately selected over shipment. TL:DR, or too long didn't read, trying to cherry-pick maps may have an unexpected result. Our goal is to ensure that players spend more time playing matches rather than waiting for them. Tagline is measuring skill for matchmaking. While skill is one of several factors in Call of Duty multiplayer matchmaking, we know the community wants more information about how it fits into the process. Skill is determined based on a player's overall performance, kills, deaths, wins, losses, and more, including mode selection in recent matches as an overall metric across all multiplayer experiences. This is a fluid measurement that's consistently updating and reacting to your gameplay. Skill is not only a factor in matchmaking players against appropriate enemies, but also when finding teammates. Call of Duty has historically considered player performance among other factors as part of our matchmaking process. Our work in this area dates back as early as Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, 2007. Skill is implemented across the video game industry, and we recognize that continuous refinement is required to deliver the best possible experience for our players. We use performance to ensure that the disparity between the most skilled player in the lobby and the least skilled player in the lobby isn't so vast that players feel like their match is a waste of time. Our data on player outcomes clearly indicates that the inclusion of skill in Call of Duty's multiplayer matchmaking process, as it currently stands, parenthesis and parenthesis, increases the variety of outcomes experienced by players of all skill levels. In other words, when all players, parenthesis, regardless of skill level, end parenthesis, are more likely to experience wins and losses more proportionately. Our data shows that when lower skill players are consistently on the losing end, they are likely to quit matches in progress or stop playing altogether. This has an effect on the player pool. A smaller player pool means wait times for matches increase and connections may not be as strong as they should be. This can compound over time to create a spiral effect. Eventually, when only high-skilled players remain because lower-skilled players have quit out of frustration, The result is an ecosystem that is worse for everyone. Game data indicates that having some limitations on the disparity of skill across the players in a match makes for a healthier ecosystem. We also understand that many high-skill players want more variety of experience, but often feel like they only get the quote sweatiest end quote of lobbies. We have heard this feedback clearly and will continue to test and actively explore ways to mitigate this concern. Tagline: Future Communications. In addition to today's blog, our technology team is developing a ping and matchmaking white paper for those inclined to get into the more granular information about Call of Duty matchmaking. Stay tuned for more on this publication. To conclude, we wanted to answer some of the most frequently asked questions from the community. Tagline: Community questions. Question: Does Call of Duty consider player engagement, time played as a factor in matchmaking? Answer: We do not consider how often or how much you play when determining matchmaking. Question: Does the Call of Duty matchmaking process impact any in-game elements such as hit registration, player visibility, aim assist, damage, etc.? No. Answer: No. Our matchmaking process does not impact gameplay elements. Question: Does spending money on Call of Duty content, such as bundles, Battle Pass, or Black Cell, change how players are matched? Answer: Money spent does not in any way, shape, or form factor into matchmaking. Question: Does Call of Duty use bots in multiplayer matchmaking? Answer: Call of Duty multiplayer does not use bots as part of the general matchmaking process. If this changes in the future, we will inform the community. Question: Do partners or content creators get special consideration in general matchmaking? Answer: No. We do not change the matchmaking process based on who owns the account. In specific cases, such as for events like Call of Duty Next, we may be required to customize how lobbies are formed. However, these events usually take place in private matches and do not impact general matchmaking. Question: Have you ever considered an opt-in/opt-out system for matchmaking algorithm? Answer: Our data suggests that splitting the player base with an opt-in/opt-out matchmaking system will have negative consequences on the overall player pool. That means potentially longer wait times based on the type of matchmaking selected. Plus add into that playlist, map and mode history, platform and more, and matches with poor connections. Question: Have you ever tested removing skill as a consideration for matchmaking? Answer: We have run tests over the years to determine if removing skill as a consideration for matchmaking makes sense. We will continue to launch these tests periodically. To date, the data remains consistent that what we detailed above. Players tend to quit matches or stop playing if they're getting blown out, resulting in a negative overall experience for all players in the lobby and the general player population. We purposely do not disclose when these tests occur because it may impact feedback or the data we see during these tests. Question: Have you considered removing skill from matchmaking in specific general multiplayer game modes? Answer: We have considered this in the past and we will continue to examine if this idea makes sense as part of an experimental playlist or in specific modes. We have nothing to announce on that front today. Thank you for your feedback and for being part of our community. We'll see you in the lobby. End of article. Now, okay, that's the article itself. Obviously, if it's not clear, their word choice is vague. Their word choice is extremely careful. And the stuff they talk about, I do want to give credit. Whoever, they say this is by, Call of Duty staff. So clearly multiple people had a hand in this, obviously. But this is more sounding as though there was a wordsmith, there were idea people, and there was the people who posted it. It's probably not as many people as they want you to think were involved in writing this article. Call of Duty staff, there's 3,000 devs, and that's not even including the actual people who work behind the scenes, not on the computers, not on the coding, but making the business decisions, I guess, for lack of a better term. Not many people probably worked on this as they want you to think. That's number one. Number two is the question and answers. There's one thing I feel in this whole article that it's extremely important. Does Call of Duty use bots in multiplayer matchmaking? They say they don't. It's funny. They will say no to do content creators get special consideration, but they do not say no in this. They say Call of Duty multiplayer does not use bots as part of the general matchmaking process. Okay. They do say no for the general matchmaking process, but what does that mean? Because here's the thing. If there were bots in the past, then they knew this was coming out, so they probably wanted to be able to say no, so they probably made updates to remove the bots before this came out. That's just a theory. I am completely talking out of thin air. I wouldn't be surprised if some sort of foul play went on here, because I do believe that there are or were bots in multiplayer. Secondly, of the general matchmaking process, what does that mean? Because if it's a case of, yeah, generally we don't do it. I mean, if there's somebody who is spent 12 hours in the game and they're still level 2 because they can't get a kill, we're going to throw a few bots their way, and that might leak out into a few other people's games, which something like that would explain why we see certain people experiencing bots, whereas other people don't experience them whatsoever. I'm very aware of the way that they put that. And then if this changes in the future, they could have said, we would have and will inform the community and update them if we had bots. But they don't say that. If this changes in the future. So whatever they've done already, they have no obligation to update us about. And for the stuff they have done, they're not specific about what they have done. They're not specific about the bots and everything else. They just say general matchmaking process. What does that mean? If you're talking about only multiplayer, say that. I mean, yes, this whole article is only about multiplayer. So then why are we being specific about something that's already specific? Again, it feels like they're holding something back. But that's just my opinion. I have nothing to substantiate any of this with. I am, again, talking out of thin air, but this is my... I don't like the way they word that. Overall, it's an article in defense of skill-based matchmaking. I'm actually shocked, and I'm glad that they said those specific words in an official Call of Duty article, but I'm let down at the defense that they gave it. They make it sound like we're doing this for you. You don't know what we're doing in the background. Your little pea brain can't handle it. No. You're doing this for money, and I don't think that what they're doing is even the right decision from a business standpoint. They're trying to protect the lower skill people. Here's the thing. They're protecting them because they want them to be able to spend money. The more people that they kill, the more likely they are to spend money, because the more that they like the game. They outright state, Control F, I think we believe it's proportionately. Yeah. Let's see. 1... 2, yeah, right here. All players, regardless of skill level, are more likely to experience wins and losses more proportionately. How many times have you had a blowout match if you play Call of Duty? Honestly, how many times have you had a match that was memorable where you went like 99 and the other team went 20? Probably not a lot. I know I haven't. I've put in a good amount of hours into this game. Not a lot. They are outright admitting you are going to get sweaty lobbies. And also, they said the word sweaty. Yeah, game data indicates that having some limitations on the disparity of skill across the players in a match makes for a healthier ecosystem. We also understand that many high-skill players want more variety, but often feel like they have only sweatiest lobbies. Here, they could have said this is wrong, but they didn't, which I was actually very impressed with in a way. They state specifically, we have heard this feedback clearly and will continue to test and actively explore ways to mitigate this concern. Again, it's that word choice, to mitigate the concern. Not to fix, not to improve, it's to mitigate. They don't care about fixing. They don't care about making a system that's better for us. They care about systems better for them. What's better for them is more money. they're not going to give up the data that they have that led to the system that they have. They're not going to give any of this up because that's what they see as making them money. And maybe it does. I don't know. But I do know they would be making a lot more money if they changed this. I think that's undeniable because the player count for something like Call of Duty compared to, I mean, just in the last few months, Lethal Company and Power Worlds, it's not even fair. Like, they're just getting absolutely destroyed. They are the new players that they're talking about in the video game industry right now, and yet it's Call of Duty. So where am I coming from? Because I've talked, this ending bit so far is very a bit more opinionated. I do think that there are bots in the lobby. I think that they either changed something or they were very careful about the way that they worded things because they don't want to be outright about anything and other stuff. Skill-based matchmaking, they state about it, and they do say a lot, to be fair, about measuring skill for matchmaking, but it's basically we don't care. Like, they don't care about us. They don't care about their quote-unquote community. I think Call of Duty is the reason why I don't like the word community, because we've never been loved by them since, like, I don't know, Modern Warfare 3 and on. So anyways, where am I coming from with all this? I have actually uninstalled Call of Duty. I've been wanting to make a video for a couple weeks, not months, jeez, a couple weeks about why I decided to do that, because I did make a video explaining how I love Modern Warfare 3. And then it started with that stupid exfil glitch fix in zombies. They absolutely destroyed the zombies mode. They got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse in multiplayer. They treated us horrible and more horribly and more horribly. And I just got enough. Within a month of making that video, Within a month of making the video, I decided I will eventually uninstall it. I uninstalled it about 2 weeks ago, and I have not had any itch to install it back. You might be thinking to yourself right now, well, okay, like, when have you been playing? This is death. Like, come on, when have you actually been playing? I've been playing since Call of Duty 2 Big Red 1 on the GameCube. I'm not saying that I'm anything special, because I'm not. I remember playing Call of Duty 3 multiplayer. I remember when Call of Duty 4 came out. I remember getting Xbox Live on the 360 and playing World at War. I remember all this stuff. Like, not, you know what I mean. I remember all these things. My brother and I would literally sit there and just have so much fun in all these really old games, and then having my father and my brother and I sit down in the corner of what is now my bedroom and play on Dragon's Teeth and Big Red 1, but in anticipation for Call of Duty 3. It was like getting it and playing it, and then when we got access to online, playing online and everything, which I actually recently went back and played, it was very fun. This is the second time that I have uninstalled a Call of Duty and left it alone, and I no want to go back to it. The other time was Infinite Warfare. I hated Infinite Warfare. I thought it was terrible. It is quite literally one of my least favorite games of all time. I just thought it was horrible. I did not enjoy it. That's just my own personal opinion. I know that the campaign I've heard is good and everything else. Fine, fair, great. I could not get over the gameplay. Gameplay was some of the most trash stuff I've ever played. No offense if you enjoyed it. One of my favorite Call of Duties was Call of Duty Ghosts. I know what it's like to have an opinion that's controversial. So, yeah, that's on me. But I hated Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, and this is the first time since then that I uninstalled to free up space, because I don't need that. I don't need that space being taken up right now. And there are some friends that I used to play with that I haven't talked to in over a month that I feel kind of bad about for the fact I haven't played with them, but it's been better for my mental health. I don't enjoy Call of Duty. And also, they only play Search and Destroy. I'm a casual guy. I've played for this long, and I can't stand ranked. I can't stand competition. I don't like being competitive. I like being able to sit down and turn my mind off and put 170 hours into Fallout 76, just building my camp. So I'm not the type to go around and try to be the best. I just want to have fun. And I think that's part of why I can't stand Call of Duty now, is they don't care about us anymore. They don't care about people like me. They don't care about the people who just want to have fun. They don't care about the people who don't want to make money from CDL, who don't want to buy all their stupid packs for the Boston Uprising and whatever. They don't care about us. They care about money. And I have noticed it a lot more, I feel, than people I know. And that's totally fair, Like, again, if you like what they do. If you enjoy skill-based matchmaking, if you think that having a intense, close match all the time is great, power to you. It's pretty gosh darn terrible for me. I'm not going to lie. And I don't know if I'm the only one that thinks like that. I don't think I am, but seeing this right here, if you're able to look at the screen, yeah, this is pretty terrible. It should just be, oh, and by the way, as somebody who played Call of Duty 3, and albeit I was much younger back then, I do have a couple key memories playing a medic in the map with the tower in the center, and you have the drivable tank. I forget the name of the map, but with my brother, I on one hand, I can't say I remember any distinct changes going from 3 to 4. On the other hand, I guess that's fair, but like maybe their old ranked skill-based system was like, yeah, anybody 35 and above match with them, and anybody 34 and below match with the same people, the same rank. Like they say, oh, we've done this since Call of Duty 4. Are you really going to tell me that hasn't changed at all since? Because if that's the case, you're doing pretty bad. And if it has, you didn't really tell us how. And that's kind of what I want to end the video with. Even when they're like, what are they? They're like a bad breakup. Because it's like, here, I want to be open with you. I want to tell you about all the things that went wrong. I want to have an honest opinion chat with you. I want to tell you why I can't do this anymore with you as the player. You know, this is what we need to talk about. So serious. Okay. I'm really scared to have this conversation, but I guess this is life. You're leaving me. Why? What's up? I'm ready for an hour convo. I just don't think it works. What? Well, why? It just won't work. Huh? That's what it feels like. I don't, it's, you didn't do a lot. The only things it did, mind you, were big, were say the word skill-based matchmaking and admit to, I guess, not having bots in multiplayer at the moment, but like, this all could have been done with a simple post on X. Like, I don't want to sound like that, but you didn't need to wait this long, compile this much data, tell us you're going to have a conversation, and then 2 months later finally have it without giving us any update. All of that for it to amount to, yes, it exists. Huh? Okay, well, what about it? Well, we have mic turn on and off as an option that affects skill-based matchmaking. Oh, okay, that's information. What about that? What about, you know what I mean? Like, they don't go into any detail here, and this is the biggest reason why I think Call of Duty is going to die within 5 years. I honestly do. I think it's going to become a game that people will forever say, remember when we used to play Call of Duty? Not, do you want to jump on Call of Duty tonight? And it is strictly because they don't know how to talk. They don't know how to interact. They don't know how to have a one-on-one, and they will never be able to truly accept responsibility for not just what the action that they take, but for their ability to communicate with us. It's deplorable. It's awful. I was hoping that after Bobby Kotick would leave, we would get some sort of information. There's been nothing. And overall, guys, yeah, this might be my last Call of Duty video that I was going to do with zombies, at least until the next blog post. Because this is shameful. This entire thing is a sham. It's a horse and pony show. It is to throw meat to the lion and wait for it to calm down. And they probably figure, well, it's taken this many years for them to get this riled up. Now that we've done this, we can wait another 15. It's awful. So I don't have any faith in them. I don't have any faith in Call of Duty. My love for the game has died. I will always go back to the old ones whenever I need a quick injection of nostalgia. But until then, guys, yeah. So anyway, I hope this helped. I hope this podcast style, maybe you're at work and you just need something to listen to. I hope it all went well. Please consider leaving a like if you found this helpful or whatever. I want to do more videos that are very podcast-esque. But yeah, so thank you guys so much. Hope you enjoyed. And I probably ruffled a few feathers with some of my opinions, so I'm sorry if I did. But yeah, Hope you guys have a great day. Link to this in the description. Take care of yourselves. Remember, the Swimmer loves you, even if you don't know it yet. Have a great night. Take care, and goodbye.